With well over 50 mobile gachas in my Play Store library, I've definitely devoted a large portion of my gaming time towards mobile gachas, so I'd like to go ahead and share with you all my top 10 favorite gachas of all time. Starting with number 10, Sinoalice. If you've ever enjoyed a creepy style aesthetic, whether in both story or gameplay, this game scratches that itch. Sinoalice definitely hit the mark whenever it comes to a dark storytelling by taking all of your favorite childhood fables and turning them into monsters. The units are based on fictional fairy tales and fables, like The Little Mermaid or Cinderella, but with a twist. Each character has a dark and immersive story that really tugs on the player's emotions. In terms of art style and storytelling, I'd say the game is unmatched in that respective category by a long shot, but actual gameplay is a different story though. There does seem to be a gap between effort put into the main hub of the game in cutscenes versus in the battle where you spend most of your time. Trimming out a lot of fine details to make room for so many units on the screen at once causes a loss of immersion sometimes. And a large portion of your character build is based off the weapon the character uses rather than the actual character itself, which can be a bad thing sometimes. It's nice to see a unit grow rather than their weapon. And for a game that's so story driven and aesthetically pleasing, it doesn't quite hit the mark whenever it comes to actual gameplay and character building, which is a big part of the replayability in Gacha. Though I feel like this particular level of work and art style should be experienced by everyone at least once, thus landing Sinoalice at number 10. Number 9, Calibria Crystal Guardian. So this one has ups and downs, but it stands out from the competition a couple ways that I think make it deserve a slot on the list. Starting with graphics, even though I myself am not a graphics freak, I do understand the appeal of having good graphics in the games we play, and that this game is severely lacking in that department. A lot of the models and bosses are mediocre at best, but in Calibria, you not only get the main moveset on your units, but also alternative skill trees that you can peruse at your own leisure to determine a moveset you would prefer, and this makes every unit behave potentially like a brand new unit anytime you change out a skill, providing the player with a massive amount of opportunity and ability to customize their units to their needs. The biggest downfall of this game for me would be numbered servers. All in all, releasing an infinite increasing number of servers is fun for the select few that are just now getting into the game, giving them a chance to compete, but too many numbered servers spreads the player base of Gacha games incredibly thin to the point where if you just pick a number for the sake of it being new or that you like the number, the server will definitely die. But on top of all of these downfalls, I do think the customizability and being able to select a different skill tree for your characters is a very nice and innovative new mechanic into these types of games, making it worth a try and landing it at number 9. Now let's talk about number 7 for a second. Skylanders Ring of Heroes. Skylanders itself has a very loyal fan base, so let's differentiate between the old Ring of Heroes and the new Ring of Heroes for a second. The development team on the old Ring of Heroes was an absolute disaster, and both the human relations section and the actual coding development, every update was constantly riddled with game-breaking bugs to the point where sometimes it was considered an unfinished product, causing players to refund all of their bought packs, bypassing Comtos entirely, as an Electronic Consumer Act protected mobile game consumers from putting money into games that were ultimately broken. So if you don't believe in second chances, this game is foolproof that they exist because they have since re-released the game after considering a total loss, and as of now, it is very successful. Skylanders Ring of Heroes was one of the first gacha games to implement the mana system, somewhat similar to Magic the Gathering, where the player has a mana pool that builds over time, and the abilities all of your units on the field use must partake in the mana pool mechanic. This provides an extraordinary amount of theory crafting combos to use. The unit pooling system is based on pieces rather than entire units though, where it will take a long stretch of time to fully build a unit you like, relying on the RNG of getting their pieces in order to power them up. All in all, I think this game has been through a lot, but ultimately comes out on the positive end, and I would have to say I recommend giving it a chance. Pulling off number 6 is going to be Heroes War Counterattack. Heroes War Counterattack is the total opposite when it comes to Skylanders' situation. It had a very strong start, but fell off in terms of development and overall care the makers put into the game. Still relatively fresh on the Play Store, so there's a chance of revival, but as of now the game is sort of sitting still. That being said, Heroes War Counterattack still makes the list due to its individuality whenever it comes to gacha games. The gacha is not based off pulling units rather than pulling upgrades for your units. Almost all units are easily accessible and can be obtained through gems, which the game is very generous about giving. Combat implements a movement mechanic, allowing you to place your units in formations and positions to your liking as well. Unfortunately, with its lack of content, this interesting mechanic seems to be wasted, but I still have high hopes it can make a comeback in the future, and as it raises the bar for other gacha games to be more accessible without being a total cash grab, I'll be placing it on the list and recommending to try it. Number 5, Raid Shadow Legends. As much of a meme as this game is at this point, objectively looking at it, it's not the worst. Every good side of the game seems to have a bad side with it. The models are super clean and can look really nice, but the animation of their movements and abilities are lacking. You can get that extreme endorphin release from pulling an F5, especially one of the more rare typings, but they've implemented a battle pass that you have to buy, and it provides you with rewards of the same quality, which is a huge turnoff for me. The boss mechanics can be very challenging and fun to overcome, but they expect you to do this in order to complete a challenge list for one of the best PvP units in the game. There's a talent tree similar to World of Warcraft Classic talents, but the tree is very thin, only giving you the illusion of choice instead of actual choice. Every time this game shows me a reason to like it, they show me another reason not to like it. It's undeniable though that their marketing team and their advertisements are top tier. They're clearly very proud of the game, which is more than can be said for a lot of the game developers on this list, and for that reason I'm going to go ahead and say that it is definitely worth a try. Shin Megami Tensei DX2. Shin Megami Tensei is a pretty hardcore franchise. By far, it's one of the most unique games I've ever come across, and transferring its style into a gacha form was a really smart move. You have all of these demons that you talk to and have conversations with, sometimes whimsical, sometimes downright scary. An awesome part of Shin Megami Tensei games is when you're talking to a demon and learning its personality, you can try and convince it to join you rather than fight you. It's like a full-on real-life encounter rather than an RNG random encounter. Unfortunately, in the mobile gacha we're talking about, there's a lot of that immersion lost by the fact that you're sort of hunting invisible demons with your cell phone. It feels like a little censored, for the younger potential buyers, rather than staying true to the eerie Shin Megami Tensei franchise. There are a lot of different ways to play though. You have your story, challenges, arenas, sort of a puzzle maze game mode, and a few more ways to play too. There's so much to it, I would 100% be recommending anyone who hasn't tried it to do so. Just don't be offended when a giant phallic demon comments to you about their penetration abilities. Number 3, Summoner's War. Summoner's War has really blazed the trail for a lot of the modern gachas we see today, and even though the game is nearing a decade old, it's still going strong for a good reason. With over 1,200 monsters to choose from in build, it's a cliche to say the possibilities are endless, but the possibilities are darn near endless. There are years of updates stacked on this game to where if you started today, it would take you years to get caught up. That being said, it can also be intimidating as a new player to be forced to compete with the other OG players that have been playing since the beginning. The average player is not free to play, and the whales are untouchable at this point. But if PvP is not your primary focus, and you just want something to play and not take too seriously, this is the game that has enough content for you to casually play for the rest of your life. Talking about all the different ways to build your units or all the different PvE aspects of the game would take way too much time, so all I can really say is if you haven't tried this game yet, it honestly is almost a requirement to play in order to fully understand the bar that it's set for other games. So we all saw this hitting the list somewhere, but number 2 is Genshin Impact. This game has taken off so quickly, it's an understatement to say it's worth your time, but allow me to maybe convince you to try it if you haven't already. So the open world of Genshin Impact is obviously a strong selling point, but what I really like about this game in particular is open world is really open world. The only invisible walls you come across are the ones at the world's edge. If there's mountains in the way, climb it. If there's a lake, swim across. Scale a building to its highest floor and jump off the roof with your glider and explore to your heart's content. The combat is smooth and every move you make feels deliberately executed. You can chain combos with the team you choose and even explore the open world with friends. The exploration here is unmatched in gacha, and honestly this game is probably the reason we have a standstill in gacha development at the time, because other companies know they can't compete with this game's open world exploration, movement mechanics, combat simplicity, and discovery overall. The main complaint I have with this game is in order to unlock the full potential of a unit, you must pull that unit multiple times, and for a game that summoning resources are scarce, it's a little rough whenever you've grown fond of a character you can't fully build without potentially months of free-to-play resource collection and RNG to pull their duplicate. That being said, this game is clearly on top for a reason, and if you haven't tried it already, I would honestly be surprised. At least give it a chance for a bit, they really deserve it. And the number 1 gacha game making this list is Dragalia Lost. Dragalia Lost has a lot to unpack, okay? There's a lot of units for you to pull, but there are also dragons for you to pull as well. Over time in a stage, your character builds their transformation bar, and once the bar is full, you can actually transform into your dragon. Each character has their own unique personality, everyone has a story and lore, as well as so do the dragons, but aside from the adorable aesthetic the game provides, it is also a doozy of a challenge. The gameplay implements a dodge mechanic, regular attacking combos based on your character's weapon, and a charge skill. You can cancel into a dodge roll, into a charged attack, into transforming into your dragon mid-attack, after using a disengaged strike to make distance before charging another attack. The mechanic prowess of this game really helps with its replayability because there's actual skill involved. It's not just a clicker game, it's a full-on real-time role-playing game. The casual side of the game is the main face, but the end game is this game's dark little secret. Some of the bosses will break you. I have never felt more challenged in a game than in Dragalia Lost, and I can solemnly say that other players are honestly just much better than me. Bosses in this game have a classic raid mechanic to look out for, danger zones to account for. You practically have to have an entire build for each boss, and making a mistake on these bosses can be unforgiving. Nothing is more embarrassing than engaging in a difficult boss fight with other actual players and being the first one to die. Nothing is more rewarding than when your deadbeat teammate dies in the beginning and you carry them in a tremendous display of timing and skill. I think this game is just very rewarding, from the ultimate satisfaction from fully maxing out an in-game weapon, to defeating one of the in-game bosses, to even just defeating some of the first game story bosses. This and a ton of other reasons are why Dragalia Lost or landing on this list is the #1 gacha game of all time so far. And if you have not tried it, I urge you to go give it a shot. Okay, y'all, that's going to have to do it for me today. These are my favorite gachas out of the ones I played, but if you have another game you want to mention, go ahead and drop it in the comments, because I'd love to see what y'all think about this list. Feel free to join my Discord. We have all sorts of people in there. Just don't be sensitive, because we like to have fun. And lastly, if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe, because we'd love to have you here. Other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.